Yo, 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 what is up, guys? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer. The playoffs keep giving. Oh my god. We're going to start with Mavericks Clippers because I feel like that's the one that has the most I need to talk about. The Mavericks just went up, like as I'm recording this video, 30 seconds ago, just went up 2-0 on the Los Angeles Clippers, a team with two all-star caliber players. Kawhi Leonard, a top 5 caliber player. A team that a lot of people thought as soon as they picked up Kawhi and Paul George were going to win a finals, if not multiple. A lot of people, even as the 4 seed, have picked them to win the finals this season or at least make it out of the Western Conference, and they're down 2-0 in the first round of the playoffs. The Lakers, another team that people picked to win the Western Conference, going up against a Suns team that has been dominant all season as a 7 seed, tied up their series. The Clippers right now are playing exactly like they played last season. They're not stepping up to the moment and they're not showing up when they need to. First of all, I want to give credit to the Dallas Mavericks before I rip into the Clippers and talk about what they're doing wrong. I want to talk about the Dallas Mavericks to start this video because they deserve credit for what they've done. They've carried over exactly what they were doing in the bubble and all of last season, and over the course of this season, they start out really disappointing, but they've slowly they've gelled, they've gotten better together, and now they're a much better team than the way that they started the season, and they're playing the same way that they played in the bubble against the Clippers, just doing it better. And Luka is better. Kristaps is not quite playing up to the level he needs to, but the role players around them are playing better. This team has the Clippers on the ropes. I know they're only up 2 games, and the Clippers could definitely come back and win this series. They have a ton of talent. But the Mavericks look like they're going to be really hard to stop. There is no one on that roster that can stop Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic might be top 5. I've been trying to find ways to put him in my top 5 players because the things that he has done this season and over the course of the last 2 playoffs have been incredible. He's unreal, and I think he deserves consideration for that top 5 spot. He's at least a top 6, 7-ish player. He's so good. I have a link right now up on my Google Chrome tab that I'm using right now to read off the scores and the stats and stuff like that. I have a link up there to buy a Luka Doncic shirt jersey, and I'm going to do that as soon as this video ends because he's become one of my favorite players in the league for the way that he steps up in big moments. He takes over. He does what he needs to do. And also the fact he just trash talks when he does things great. Patrick Beverley can't guard Luka Doncic. He's just too small, and Luka keeps letting him know it. And I just like Luka a lot. Luka has all-time great potential. Luka has the potential to at the end of his career be a top 10, top 5 player of all time. That's how good he is right now. He's 22. 22, I'm pretty sure, not 23. I'm pretty sure he's 22. He's 22 years old. And right now he has the Los Angeles Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. In the offseason, they had Serge Ibaka, Luke Kennard, who doesn't even play. By the way, they paid him $41 million to not play. Marcus Morris, Zubac. They have all these great players. This team is so talented. They picked up Rajon Rondo. Batum's been good for them all season. Terrence Mann's had some good moments. They've got so much talent on this roster. DeMarcus Cousins, who doesn't play, but just another name I thought I should mention. They've got so much talent, including Kawhi Leonard, a guy that a lot of people after his run with the Raptors to the finals and winning it thought was the best player in the league. And they're down 2-0 in the first round. And you know what the crazy part about all this is? They asked for this. That's the craziest part. If you did not know, they legitimately threw the last 2 games of the season because they saw the Lakers were going to get that 7 seed. So they threw the last 2 games of the season to ensure they wouldn't have to face the Lakers till the Western Conference Finals, and that they wanted to face the Mavericks because when we were playing them, we were one of the last games of the night. And the Clippers had a chance to win that game. They could have just put in some of their guys, and they just didn't. They had Daniel Oturu taking post fadeaways, and he was bringing the ball up the court. Daniel Oturu is a center, if you don't know who he is. They had him bringing the ball up the court, playmaking. They didn't even shoot a shot to try and cut the deficit at the end of our game. They tanked against OKC. That's what we do. And they tanked because they wanted to face Dallas. And you know what Dallas is doing? Kicking their ass. Dallas is doing exactly what they wanted to do since they lost that series. I guarantee you Rick Carlisle reminds them every day. The Clippers wanted this. They tanked. They lost to the 2 of the worst teams after the second half of the season. The Rockets and the Thunder were the 2 worst teams in the NBA. They tanked. They lost to those 2 teams on purpose to face this Mavericks team, and the Mavericks have punched them in the mouth because of it. The Mavericks are mad. I'd be pissed too if a team said, we want to face you guys. That's who we want to face. And guess what? They're getting destroyed for it. It's the same case with the Miami Heat and Milwaukee Bucks. The Heat wanted to face the Bucks, and they're getting exactly what they asked for, and they're down 0-2. The Clippers are way too talented to be down 0-2. They've lost both games on their home court. given there were MVP chance for Josh Richardson in this game. So I don't know how much of a home court advantage Staples Center is providing the Clippers right now. But they lost on their home court twice. They're down 0-2. They got rid of Doc Rivers. They said he was the problem. Paul George said, oh, Doc Rivers had me playing like Ray Allen out there or whatever. He had me as like a spot-up shooter. They lost that 3-1 lead. They said Doc Rivers is the problem. They got rid of Doc Rivers. They went out. They signed Serge Ibaka. They need a better big man. He hardly played in this game. They went out. They said, we need more bench scoring. They signed Luke Kennard. He did not play tonight. They traded, I shout out Rondo and everything, but they traded Lou Williams, who was a bench scorer, for Rajon Rondo, and had no bench scoring tonight. They could not score off the bench. Reggie Jackson had 15, and outside of him, it was 4 for Rondo, 9 for Batum, 8 for Mann. Like, putting up 121 is cool and all, but it was Kawhi. This was the Kawhi Leonard show. Kawhi Leonard had a great game tonight. Correct that. He had a great first half. He still had a good second half, but he had 32 points at the half. He put up 9 in the second half. And this is what we saw last season. Kawhi Leonard would have a great first half, and just in the second half, he just wasn't getting involved. He just wasn't. And he was taking tougher shots. He played 41 minutes tonight. It was him 41 and Paul George 40, who also had a good game. Paul George had a great game, and no one's going to talk about it because people only ever talk about Paul George when he sucks. And he had 28, 12, and 6 tonight. He was really good. It was him and Kawhi Leonard. And this supporting cast was not good enough. They haven't been. Kawhi Leonard was great. Paul George was great. The supporting cast was awful. And they let the Mavericks cook them. Like I said, also Tyronn Lue, for all the slack that Doc Rivers caught, Tyronn Lue through the first 2 games of the playoffs has been much worse than Doc Rivers was. He has refused to make adjustments. You have Kawhi Leonard, you have Paul George. Stop letting Luka get Patrick Beverley on him. Patrick Beverley has his reputation as this great defender, and it's for a reason. He hustles, he plays hard, but he's way too small. Luka was actively, at the end of that game, seeking out matchups against Patrick Beverley, the guy who's supposed to be your lockdown guard defender. Luka was looking for him. He would get a screen to find Patrick Beverley on him, and he just kept hitting floater after layup. He would just take him right to the hoop, and there's nothing Patrick Beverley could do. He was too small. And Luka keeps letting him know. And Tyronn Lue sees him getting bodied, sees Patrick Beverley getting bodied by Luka Doncic, and he does nothing. He's just said, all right, we'll just keep letting this happen, I guess. It's awful. You can't do that. You have to make adjustments in the playoffs. We talked about that in yesterday's video. If you did not watch that, go back and watch it. When I ripped Terry Stotts for not making adjustments and talking about how good of an adjustment Michael Malone made in the second half of yesterday's Portland-Denver game, because he put Aaron Gordon on Damian Lillard after he had a monster half. Tyronn Lue has made no adjustments this series already. We're 2 games in, and he hasn't made a single one. Nothing that I can see. Maybe there's something you can see. Nothing I can see. And so the Clippers have gotten exactly what they've asked for. They asked to play Luka Doncic, a generational, potential all-time great player in like his first 3 seasons. He already seems to have that trajectory to him. That's how good he looks like he's going to be. And I think he is going to be that. They asked to play him. They asked to play this high-powered Mavericks offense. They asked to play Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Rick Carlisle, all these guys, Maxi Kleber, Kristaps Porzingis, who had a pretty good game tonight. Kristaps had 20 points. That was pretty good from him. This is what they asked for. And you know what's happening? They're getting destroyed. It happens. It's the NBA. These guys are super competitive. Like I said, if I'm Luka Doncic and the Clippers said, hey, we want to play you after you kicked our butts last season, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to beat you this time. And I really did not expect this. I'm going to be honest. I bought again. This is the first time I bought into the Clippers hype this much. I thought the Clippers were going to be a high-level team. I made a video that has like 2,000 views now that probably people are going to destroy if the Clippers lose this series, where I said people are sleeping on the Clippers. I was like, this Clippers team looks different. They look better. Maybe I was wrong. And I'm okay with being wrong because that's what the NBA is about. It's commentating on the NBA. I'm never going to be right. I could say all this stuff about how Tyronn Lue refuses to adjust, and the next game he makes some godly adjustments and they just destroy the Mavericks. That's entirely possible because that's the nature of the NBA. Things keep changing, and I'm okay with admitting that I was wrong. The series isn't over for the Clippers, not at all. Going down 2-0, Kawhi Leonard did that with the Raptors against the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's went down 2-0 before, and he made it happen. They won the next 4 games, and that's highly possible that the Clippers do this. The problem is they've gone down 2-0, and Kawhi Leonard's doing all he can, but the supporting cast on that Raptors team was way better than the one that they have now. So, yeah, We'll see how it goes. And also, this is the first round. This is going to be probably, theoretically, the easiest team they would have to face all playoffs. And it's not looking good already. I don't know. I'm done ranting about the Clippers stuff, but as a Thunder fan who has a lot of their draft picks, I don't hate the Clippers. Like, I like Kawhi Leonard. I like Paul George. But if Kawhi Leonard left, it'd probably be really good for the Thunder's future with all the draft picks that the Clippers have. So I can't say that I'm not super unhappy about the Clippers not playing super well so far. But at the same time, I want to see competitive basketball. But if the Clippers lose this series, especially, imagine if it was a sweep. If the Clippers lose this series, I don't know how Kawhi stays. I'd be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked because he likes LA, I know. And this team still is super talented. But how do they get better from here? They have no draft picks for the next 18 years. They've got bad contracts all around the board. Marcus Morris is making $64 million. Luke Kennard is making $41 million. I don't see how this team would get better. And if they couldn't do it last year, they can't do it now. Who says they're ever going to be able to do it? It's just shocking. I'm just shocked at how this is going. Shout out to Doc Rivers. Man was a scapegoat. That's all I want to say about this. But once again, I want to give credit to the Mavericks for how good they've been, how much they've come into the series with the fire. I talked about this last game. I said they came into this as the underdogs. It was the same thing the Suns did. The Suns were like, we're the underdogs. This team might be better on paper, but we're going to come out and we're going to punch them in the mouth in the first game. And the Mavericks did that in the first game, and now the second game again. But Lakers hit back tonight. We'll use that as a transition. That was probably my best transition ever. Heading into the Lakers-Suns game, which was also a really good one. I do want to say, I hate that the NBA scheduled this game at the same time as the Clippers-Mavericks game because they're both really, really good. And I feel like I missed some things that I could talk about in these videos. I definitely watched enough of them and got enough to, I just talked for 10 minutes about Clippers-Mavericks, but to talk about both of these games. I watched a lot of basketball and I got a headache for y'all. So appreciate you leaving a like and a subscribe because I got a headache going back from here to my TV is up there on the wall. So yeah, but in terms of Lakers Suns, Anthony Davis turned it around completely. And we need to have a conversation to start this section of the video about free throws. I tweeted out, I can find the tweet, but I basically said that Anthony Davis had, oh yeah, here it is. Anthony Davis had one of his worst playoff games ever last game. Probably maybe his worst playoff game ever. Took the blame for the loss after the game. He said, this was on me. And he came back and dominated on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And I said, it was a great response for him. And you know what everyone did in the comment section? No one gave him, or a couple people did, but very few people gave him credit. Everyone said, oh, he shot 17 free throws. Okay, what about the defense? What about the defensive player of the year caliber defense he played all game? I mean, DeAndre Ayton is doing well. He had 22 and 10. He had a good game. But towards the end of the game, Anthony Davis got a lot of tough assignments. And there was this time where DeAndre Ayton, the play that really sticks out for Anthony Davis in terms of defense. DeAndre Ayton got a post up on Alex Caruso. And Caruso kind of, he was doing what he could. But Anthony Davis shaded over enough to get DeAndre Ayton to pass the ball out. But DeAndre got the ball back because Caruso's still on him, of course. But there's only 3 seconds on the shot clock. Anthony Davis anticipated this, left his guy wide open because he knew DeAndre Ayton didn't have enough time to get that pass and the guy to get the shot off. And he came over and he snatch blocked DeAndre Ayton. He smacked out of the air and just caught it. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And then he went down the court and hit a three at maybe not the next possession, but the possession after. This was an incredible game for him. Because you know what he did? He sought contact. He played like a big man. That's what I talked about in the last video. I said that what happened in the first game was DeAndre Ayton came out and said, I'm going to get physical with you, Anthony Davis, and you're not going to like it. Anthony Davis took this game and said, okay, you're going to get physical. I'm going to get physical with you. I'm going to be physical back. And he backed DeAndre Ayton down. He drove to the basket. He went hard at them. And he earned those free throws. You can talk about calls here and there that you might not have been a huge fan of, but Anthony Davis earned basically every single one of those free throws. Drawing fouls is a skill, going into people's bodies, drawing contact. And a lot of times, some of the best players in the NBA are great at drawing free throws. Like LeBron James gets a lot of free throw calls. He's LeBron James. He's super strong. So he goes through people sometimes. You can talk about referees all you want, but he gets a lot of free throw calls because he attacks the basket. And because he's a great player that you've got to foul sometimes to stop him. Anthony Davis does the same thing. James Harden, a guy that you might think as a Thunder fan, I'm fine with James Harden. And the way that he draws fouls a lot of time, it's because he's super smart. A player puts his arm out over you, like over your arms where they can't have their arm. Why would you not swing through and get a foul on them? Why not? You give them a foul and you potentially get free throws if you're in the bonus. Why would you not do that? It's smart. Chris Paul did it all the time in the Thunder last season. That rip through play, smart as hell. Devin Booker at the end of this game, which is something a lot of people weren't talking about, he kept seeking contact at the end of the game. His shot wasn't falling. They couldn't get offense, so he said, I'm just attack the basket, see if I get fouled, see what happens. And he kept doing that. And it kind of worked for a little bit. The Suns kind of tried to come back at the end. They just did not have enough juice. And LeBron James hit a three that really just put the dagger in them. Anthony Davis sunk a couple free throws to end the game. But I've kind of realized I can't have rational conversations with people about the Lakers on my timeline because people just hate them too much. Like, you've got to give credit to players. There can be a team, if the Brooklyn Nets win the championship, who have Kevin Durant, which is a player that as a Thunder fan, you think I probably hate. I don't hate Kevin Durant, but like theoretically I could. But like, I'm not gonna go out there and be like, oh, this was rigged for Kevin Durant or anything like that. Like, I'm gonna be like, yo, congrats to KD, whatever. Like, you can give credit to players that are on the opposing team. You can do that. It's a thing. A lot of fans don't like to do it. It's something that I kind of want to make a full video on. Probably one of the biggest examples of it was last year for me with Luke Winstort, who I'm actually wearing a shirt of right now. Shout out to Design Tree on Twitter. But last season when Lou Dort played great defense in James Harden, Rockets fans were in my mention saying, oh, Lou Dort's not playing great defense. James Harden is just missing. Why would you do that? Why would you not say that Lou Dort's playing great defense and instead say that your favorite player is just playing bad basketball? Why is that? That doesn't compute with me. This is a conversation that needs another video. But Lakers Suns, Anthony Davis was really good. LeBron was also really good. 23, 4, and 9. I might like to see him take more shots, but he took them when it mattered most. He usually play makes for most of the game, and when it comes down to those final moments, he hits those tough shots that his team needs to get them over the hump. He had a crazy baseline fadeaway, like almost out on the 3-point line. That's how deep it was on the baseline, and he drilled it. As soon as he shot that, I was like, that's going in, because that's the shot LeBron James hits. He had a clutch three to really put the game out of reach. LeBron just killed it. This was a great game from him. Andre Drummond played good tonight. He deserves credit. He played good tonight. And when I had this tweet, I tweeted out like a couple weeks ago, or whenever the Lakers got Andre Drummond, I tweeted, I think Andre Drummond can be really effective for the Lakers when LeBron and AD get back, because this is when they were both hurt. So my theory was he would just grab rebounds, run to the rim. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to do any like isolation type stuff. And that's what he did tonight. And he did an okay job at it. He didn't play great defense. He left DeAndre Ayton open way too much. But on the offensive side of the ball, he did what he needed to do. It was a good game from Andre Drummond. And they finally freed Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol played great minutes tonight. Towards the end of the game, he had a couple plays where he just wasn't playing great because I think he kind of just got gassed. But Marc Gasol played good minutes. They didn't even play Montrezl Harrell tonight. That honestly might not be the worst decision. We saw last playoffs that Montrezl Harrell, sometimes his like style of high energy basketball, like come in, score a bunch of buckets off the bench, and then go back and sit for a couple minutes, then come back in, like that rotating type thing doesn't always work in the playoffs. So maybe Marc Gasol and Andre Drummond are the answer. I don't know. Dennis Schroeder put up 24. Thunder legend, shout out to him. He had a great game tonight. This was just a big win for the Lakers on the road. They needed this game. You can't go down 0-2 when you're the 7 seed. You can't go down 0-2. Yeah, you just can't. So, DeAndre Ayton, like I said, 22 and 10, had a good game. 31 points from Devin Booker. He was kind of shaky at the beginning, but he really turned it around. He figured it out. He kind of got settled. I think he was partially rattled because Chris Paul wasn't playing. The problem is Devin Booker is a great facilitator and he's a great scorer. But Chris Paul is like generational at facilitating, and when you only have Devin Booker on the court, you don't really have much other facilitation out there. Like Cameron Payne played 33 minutes and had 19 and 7. That was awesome from him, but he didn't set up teammates the way that Chris Paul does. And so Devin Booker isn't really used to this. He did it a season ago, but this is a whole season later. This team is typically Chris Paul, Devin Booker. They set each other up. They set the offense up. That's what they do. They're both good playmakers. They make it work. And so when Chris Paul's not in the game in these clutch time moments, Devin Booker has to choose, do I score or do I play make? And it's a really tough decision because he can't be like, hey, Chris Paul, you do a little bit of both. I'll also do a little bit of both. He says, I have to make the decisions for the whole team for both of those answers. And it was just tough for him. I hope Chris Paul's okay. I hope he's able to play healthy, but he does not look good in terms of his health. Like that shoulder is clearly bothering him, which sucks. I'm a big Chris Paul fan, and I just hate that he can't get healthy, man. It sucks. So big comeback win from the Lakers. Yeah. Celtics Nets. I don't want to say much about this game because it was ugly, and this is going to be a sweep. The Nets are just far better. The Nets are really, really good. Kevin Durant, 26, 8 and 5. It was easy for him. 25 and 7 for James Harden. 15, 6 and 6 from Kyrie Irving. I don't know what else you want me to say about that. Blake Griffin played some great minutes tonight. Joe Harris with 25 points. He has the best job in the world. I tweeted this out earlier, but Joe Harris has the best job in the world because he gets set up for threes by Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, and all he has to do is sit there, hit threes, and make millions and millions of dollars. Joe Harris, great job. I want to be Joe Harris when I grow up. But the Celtics are just completely outmatched here. It's going to be an interesting offseason for them because I think they've got 2 games left. I think the Nets sweep this thing. That's what I predicted before we went into this series. They missed Jaylen Brown way too much, and they haven't had enough time to gel because they have not been healthy all season. Jason Tatum was not good tonight, 9 and 4, and for him, I said this in my video, talking about the playoffs, for the Celtics to win a game in this series, Jason Tatum will have to be the best player for 48 minutes, and he played 21 minutes tonight. He got hurt, had 9 points. The game was out of reach by the end of the first quarter. 17 and 7 for Kemba. Shout him. Robert Williams, 8 and 6. And an assist. There's not much to say about this game. The Nets are really good. They look really scary. Given they are facing a Boston Celtics team that I think is just completely outmatched without Jaylen Brown. Even with Jaylen Brown, they would probably be outmatched. But especially without Jaylen Brown, it's not even close. And I think this is a good warm-up for the Nets. That should be scary to the rest of the Eastern Conference and the rest of the NBA as a whole. Whoever comes out of that Western Conference, that I have no idea because it's really crazy out there. But the Nets are getting warmed up. Like, they don't even have to try hard in this series. They can kind of just do whatever they want, and they're going to win this game. Or win this game, the next game, the game after that. And then they're going to head into their second round series fully rested. Maybe the Bucks will also head into their second round series with a sweep, with the way that the Heat have seemed to play, or played last game, and then the game before, the way that Jimmy and Bam Adebayo played. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a sweep in both of those series, and both of these teams will go at each other full strength. I'm excited to see that. But the Nets look scary. That's all I have to say about that game. So those were the games. Let me know what your takeaways were from those games. Let me know what your takeaways have been from the playoffs so far. I'm going to go buy my Luka Doncic shirt, and you're going to see it in one of these videos. If the Mavericks win this series, you'll see me wearing a Luka Doncic shirt in the video probably. So be on the lookout for that. Shout Mavericks fans, shout Lakers fans, shout out Nets fans, shout out to your teams winning. I'm excited for more playoff basketball tomorrow. We got Philly Wizards. We've got Knicks Hawks, which is going to be a great series. And then we've got Jazz Grizzlies. Or wait, I already said Jazz Grizzlies. Philly Wizards, Jazz Grizzlies, and Hawks Knicks. Those are the 3 series we have. I'm excited for all of those. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching. Please drop a like, drop a subscribe. If you made it to this point in the video, say Luka Doncic is generational in the comment section below. And I will see you guys later. Ray1, say back.